Alright, so the animal kingdom, and yeah, those aren't real, all real animals. General characteristics of the real animals.
They're eukaryotic.
Eukaryotic, which means they have a nucleus in their cell. Many cells, and many cells functioning to perform a task. Motile. Heterotrophs. And they reproduce?
Asexual.
And? I know. Because you honestly, you think of animals as these complex organisms, and there's really simple animals. So we're gonna, this is the first time we're gonna dive into phylums, because the animal kingdom is the one we most explore, so we're gonna learn about the first 8 phylums in the animal kingdom. So the first 8 phylums, what they all have in common is that they're invertebrates, which means they lack a backbone. And look at these names, they're pretty complicated. So I'm gonna say them for you because it took me probably a good amount of years to pronounce these correctly. Porifera. Cnidarian. Platyomanthes. Nematoda. Annelida. Mollusca. Echinoderms. Arthropoda. So we learned how we distinguish one kingdom from another, but how do you separate these animals into separate phylums is a little bit more complicated. So the first thing we look at is those 3 pictures up there. Does anybody know what I'm referencing there? How I divide one animal into a specific phylum and into another? What? Nope. Symmetry. The first thing is symmetry, and I'm going to click here and go. So we've got 3 kinds of symmetry. Anybody know what they are? Well, really, we have 2 kinds, and bilateral is the first one. It's basically you look at something and you could cut it down the middle and you have like a perfect 2 sides. Radial, that's actually all the way in the bottom of your notes, all the way down. And the last one? Abstract. What do you call something that has no symmetry? There you go. Next thing we look at is reproduction. We know there's 2 main types, which are what? Asexual and sexual. We're going to learn a little bit more details about reproduction. So asexual is what? Oh, this is sexual. Whoops. All right, we'll do sexual first. 2 parents. Now, there could be sexual reproduction internally and sexual reproduction externally. If it's internally, what happens?
The mother carries the baby.
The mother carries the baby, and the egg becomes fertilized inside of the female, and that should have an E there. If it's external, the mother lays an egg, and it gets fertilized outside of the mother. Asexual is 1 parent, and then there's 3 different types of asexual reproduction that occur within these phylums. The first one is called binary fission. Where do we hear about that? Bacteria, good. The offspring grow from 1 parent, so we know that. It's like you have a parent and the offspring grows from 1 parent. And you know that has to be a very less complex animal. Fragmentation, it's like reproduction because you're reproducing from parts. So you have parts of an organism that break off and they form a new organism. Starfish, good example. So you start to see animals that you could reference that are going to fall under these categories. Now, regeneration is not necessarily reproduction of an organism, but it's still considered a type of reproduction. Like crabs, lizards, they lose body parts and they can regenerate their body parts. The next 3 are a little bit more complex to understand, okay? We've got cephalization, digestive cavity, and germ layers in body cavity. So cephalization, look at the diagram. What do you think it means? Which means what?
It's
Bilateral.
No, they're showing you an organism with bilateral symmetry and one with radial, but they're talking about cephalization in this diagram. What is it?
Oh, maybe I have to head or not.
Correct. So some animals don't even have a head because if their main structure to function is a cell, that means they don't have tissues, so that means they don't have organs, right? So they have no cephalization. And most animals have cephalization, which means they have a head of some sort. Digestive cavity, tell me about those. What? Well, every organism has to eat or obtain energy through food, so because we're heterotrophs. Okay, so in here you show some organisms have a mouth and they have some kind of system and then they excrete out of another area, while some organisms have a mouth and the mouth is. I'm not even going to say that in the video. So we'll talk more about each of these types of digestive cavities and about layers and the formation of tissues tomorrow or Monday.